www.tailoredlandscapes.com, because when you find one company, you find the benefit of three.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Good afternoon. Happy Monday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary hanging out with you guys as usual. Rico, hello.
Hello.
That sounded like a painful one.
No, I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah.
That made my diaphragm hurt just hearing it.
There was a slight twinge in the neck muscles there.
Was it intentional?
No.
Okay.
Like my neck,
so you just had to go along with it.
My neck like twitched, so I just had to keep it going.
Let me just get this straight here. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Thomas in Lincoln decides to chime in.
Hello, Thomas.
Nick likes to ditch Rico on his own show. So the Happy Hour is now Rico's show, and Nick is just a regular guest. First text to the Happy Hour today. Thomas, you are. But when did I ditch you?
The Thursday and Friday.
Thursday, I was at the presser.
You ditched me.
Maybe that's on Nebraska for scheduling a press conference at 1 p.m. Central Time.
You didn't have to go.
I think it was important. There was value in going.
You didn't have to go. Sipple was there.
Sipple was there.
He's representing 93.7.
I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, yep. I'll let him know. I'll let him know. Hey, Sip, from now on,
Sipple 93.7 The Ticket.
When you ask a question, hi, Steve Sipple, 93.7 The Ticket,
and also Hell's Ground.
I'm not sure.
We'll see.
And then Friday,
you left me.
I did leave you that day.
Me.
That day I ditched. You know.
So from here on out, I want to hear our show, not my show.
When has it ever been nothing but? It's always been our show.
What do you always say?
It's always
no.
Time out, Rico.
Nick,
Rico, don't make me sound like a worse person than I am.
No, Nick. What do you say when you're talking about things that happen on this show?
When you and I are in here,
no, Nicholas.
When you and I are talking,
Nicholas. What is my question? What do you say on the drive specifically
when you're not
when I'm not
I say
here.
my show
no, when I'm not here? Yeah, okay.
When I'm having the conversation with AD, Raf, and all the listeners, I will say my show. But if you are in it, if you are part of this conversation, it's our show.
I always say our show.
Well, I appreciate
always.
That. I will get better
because it's not.
I feel like we're trying to sort out some problems.
The happy hour is a two-person pet project.
People are probably going to be thinking that we're trying to get separated.
This is our child, and you're trying to take complete ownership. All right. This is no joint custody.
Our child has grown.
This is not joint custody. All right. There's no I get them on the weekends and you get them every other day.
Our child's starting to ride a bike.
That's not how this works. A little bit. We've raised a good one.
We've raised it well.
And you're trying to just take them away.
Just tear it down. Eric says marriage problems, guys.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not for me. It's one-sided.
A little bit.
It's all Rico's fault.
I feel like you're not taking your part in this relationship seriously. And I think
Says who?
And I think that we need to just sit down and have a talk about this.
Chase B says Nick lost the captain. Now he's going to lose the happy hour. False. I didn't lose the captain. He got
kicked out of the family.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I think I just made a move similar to Walter Rouse that was in the best decision. I'm just kidding.
Comparing himself to Walter Rouse.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Relationship has two sides. This relationship is a two-way street. And right now I feel like I'm driving down. It's a one-way.
It's a one-way.
Yeah. I'm making all the sacrifices.
I feel like you're driving in downtown Lincoln.
I'm making a lot of sacrifices.
Because just driving
making a lot of decisions.
Lincoln.
And I'm just being left out in the cold. That's what happens.
Better wear a jacket.
I get home and the door's locked. Oh, what's going on?
Better wear a jacket.
You changed the locks, and I'm hurt. Can't even log into the Ring doorbell. My Netflix has been canceled.
There's no Rico profile.
What
it's
are you
just
doing?
Nick.
It's just Nick.
It's just
and
Nick's
other.
profile. Kids. Nick and kids.
I'm hurt. All right.
Well, I'm sorry that I hurt you, Rico. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Just disgusted with you.
Cubsker says, I remember you guys in your first happy hour. You guys used to be so happy.
That was back when this marriage was new. It was fresh. It was a new relationship.
It was the honeymoon phase.
It was a new relationship.
It was the honeymoon phase.
We're a year in.
We could do no wrong. It was unlimited forgiveness.
Things have gotten weird.
Anyway, 402-464-5685. Obviously, a couple of you have found your way to the text line. Feel free to call in as well. We will be joined by our good friend Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska here in a couple minutes, because here's what's interesting. So, Rico, I texted Steve just to double check that he could come on today.
Mm-hmm.
I texted him probably this morning. It was after early break, actually.
Because he's a little busy, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
things
especially right now, yeah.
Things are happening.
And we always kind of roughly preview, like, hey, this is what we're going to kind of touch on.
Wow,
but
you send him the questions ahead of time?
Not the questions, but we just the topics of, hey, this is what we're going to focus on. We'll hit on Husker recruiting, and then my text today consisted of, we'll hit on Husker recruiting and then Husker hoops.
Okay.
And
do we have to hit on Husker hoops?
We're going to hit on Husker hoops.
Right.
And so then just in the span of like 2 hours, you get Isaiah Garcia Castaneda
back
to withdraw his name from the portal. Big win. Okay, I want to be careful how I say this. It's another guy added to the fold under head coach of Garrett McGuire, or head coach, wide receivers coach Garrett McGuire.
Head coach, that is young.
That is young. I could be a head coach.
Yeah,
you
get a guy with 5 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown as a Husker.
Yeah. So through one game,
all of those yards and touchdowns in one game
in another country.
Yes,
we don't know if he can play football. The American
He played
side.
in 3 games. He had 4 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown overseas. 0 receptions. I don't even think he was targeted in another game. And 2 targets, 1 reception, 0 yards against Oklahoma.
Yeah, so Isaiah Garcia Castaneda coming back, which is I struggle to say victory for Garrett McGuire, because once again, from the proven production standpoint, we don't know yet, but it's another body in the room.
He seemed like he was going to be really good.
It's IGC, and then now it's Xavier Betts. All signs are pointing to Xavier Betts returning as well, because Xavier's mother, Shannon, confirmed it to Husker Online last night on Sunday.
Hi, Shannon.
That he did, in fact, attend the 6 p.m. team meeting for Nebraska football.
Interesting.
So, and Sip and I were talking this morning on early break, like, Matt Rule's not, hey, come on over, see if you like what you hear from the team meeting, and then we'll decide on Wednesday if you're going to be a part of it. That's not how this works.
He's
normally.
back.
So those are 2 guys that, once again, a couple weeks ago when we heard from Marcus Satterfield for the first time, he wanted variety in that wide receiver room. Now you bring in a body like Xavier Betts, where there are a few people that can do what he does on the football field. An exceptional athlete, great playmaker,
the athleticism,
for Nebraska.
the speed, the size, some things that you can't really teach, those things that he has, that Xavier Betts has, that he's now going to take back to Nebraska. But my main concern, and I mentioned this on the water cooler, is how are the players in the locker room who were on the roster with those 2 players when they decided to leave the team going to react to them being back on the team? How is the receiver room going to be when Xavier Betts and Isaiah Garcia Castaneda walk back in? How are the DBs who have to go against them every day going to react when they see those 2 back on the field? And I'm not saying that it's going to be negative. I don't know if it's going to be negative. I don't know if it's going to be positive and they'll welcome them back with open arms. But you have to think, Xavier Betts left before the season started. Okay, his mind wasn't in it, his heart wasn't in it in terms of football standpoint.
He left in March of 2022.
Yeah, before even close to starting. IGC left in the beginning of the season, middle of the season, whatever you want to call it. So that hits totally different, where you might feel as if he gave up on the team, and then after so many months of possible non-success in the transfer portal and not being able to find a home, he's back. Is that going to be, are his teammates, former, now current, again, teammates, going to react positively and welcome him back with open arms? Or is it going to be is there going to be a rough patch for a little bit of time where, he has to regain that trust from his teammates? And I know that that's not really something we can answer. That might be a better question for an athlete or for somebody, maybe like a Jay Foreman or a Strick. If you were on a team and you heard somebody was requesting a trade, the trade didn't get done and they were all in again or whatever, how did you react to that situation with that person?
Well, I would honestly argue, Rico, that it would be a bigger questions surrounding IGC.
Yes.
I mean, this is a guy that left in the middle of the season, and you won't forget.
And his dad went on a Twitter rant.
I was going to say, you won't forget the whole Twitter beef as well. And I think that's a bigger part of this whole thing is Xavier Betts left the team, got kind of, I don't want to say disassociated, just kind of like, it just fizzled out. It felt weird. Scott Frost came out in a press conference saying that he was not a member of the team as of right now.
And that was it.
Everybody was like, what does that mean? And he's just like, he's not a member of the team. He's not with the team right now. He's not a member. And then it was Xavier Betts is no longer with the team. So it was, did he leave? Did he just stop liking football? Did he not want to be here at Nebraska? Did he not want to be coached by Mickey Joseph or Scott Frost? Did Scott Frost and the coaches decide to just part ways mutually? So I think there's things that we don't know quite well enough to speculate on how the response was Xavier Betts. Because if it's one of those things where Xavier Betts was kind of, they mutually agreed to part ways because they just didn't get along, that's one thing. But if he decided, like you said, to leave on his own choosing, then that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, if his heart wasn't in it, if his mind wasn't in it.
Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, it's great that you're back. And from what we saw in a small sample size, especially the game in Ireland, you're capable of playing at this level. However, you dipped out on your guys.
He left
3 weeks into the season.
Yeah,
that was not a coaching decision. That's not even up for debate.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
He didn't play in the North Dakota game.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, you dipped right away. I mean, you dipped just 4 weeks into the season, and so that's what's a little more interesting for me is that how do they respond to Isaiah Garcia Castaneda? Also, guys, like with a new coaching staff, and as of right now, it's a no nonsense Matt Rule. Like no. And we know a little bit about Garrett McGuire. We'll see if we get to talk to Coach McGuire here in the next couple weeks.
This is really going to test his mettle.
But it's also like Matt Rule might go in there and just be like, all right, clean slate for everyone. Like
you can say it.
You can. Oh, of course you can say it.
But the guys that were on that roster that were teammates with those guys, it's you can say clean slate all you want. They can agree. But everybody's going to have that feeling in the back of their mind, that bad taste in their mouth when he left 4 weeks into the season. And like I said, this is going to test Garrett McGuire, 24 years old, leading a receiver room with two guys back who left the team previously. Some guys are going to feel a certain way about it. So this is going to test how he's able to control the controversy, control the emotions of all of those guys in that room. And maybe you just kind of first meeting that they're back. All right, everybody get your feelings out, because from this point forward, we are a new receiving group, and we're going to try and get things the right way and get things going. Headhunter
asks question, how do they frame Betts leaving? I'm not sure. They didn't really frame it any specific way. It was just that he kind of realized that he may not have needed football as much as you thought a 4-star guy in a top 100 class or close to breaking the top 100 recruits in the country would have felt about football, right? Just to
I can say that's just a mentality shift where he's just like, you love football for so long, and then you just kind of get burnt out of it, and you're like, you know what, I don't think I can do this anymore. You leave for a year, you realize, oh snap, I really loved playing football. I loved everything about it. I need to go back, or I want to go back. And luckily for him, he was welcomed back to this team.
Exactly. And just so everybody's on the same page, timeline of Xavier Betts. So out of high school, Bellevue West grad, obviously, got offers from a couple Big Ten schools, Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue, Nebraska. He commits to Nebraska on April 3rd of 2019. In 2020, Xavier Betts records 12 catches for 131 yards and a touchdown catch. In 2021, Xavier Betts has 20 catches for 286 yards, no touchdown receptions, but has 3 rushes for 109 yards and a touchdown. And then on March 24th of 2022, Scott Frost announces that Xavier Betts was, quote, not a member of the team. Then he finds himself in the news while he's not associated with the Huskers. Xavier Betts is stopped for speeding in Omaha at 1:30 in the morning in October of 2022. Betts ended up having a misdemeanor warrant for his arrest in the state of Iowa because of a possession of a controlled substance, got a citation, ended up not showing up for court, and so he had a warrant out for a misdemeanor warrant, so nothing major. And then Xavier Betts enters the transfer portal on January 4th of 2023. So, and that I will say that initial stop in the state of Iowa was in March of 2022. And so as we kind of go back, and I'm not trying to speculate too much, but as we go back, if that was a reason or that was a Kickstarter or some, I mean, it all matches up but who knows?
There could be something there. There could be not something.
But that is the timeline of Xavier Betts as we know it publicly, without speculation. So, I mean, that's just kind of everybody's on the same page now. Last night, Nebraska had their first team meeting of spring ball where Matt Rule, first opportunity to get all the guys together in one room here in the new year. And Xavier Betts was in the room. So there's something to be said there.
And maybe IGC.
Maybe. Let's take a break. When we come back, we talk to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. We'll ask him about Xavier Betts, MJ Sherman, the new Nebraska transfer from Georgia, former 5-star guy that's played in 39 games, mostly on special teams for the Bulldogs. And then also Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. All that and more coming up with Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska on the Happy Hour.
Start planning for the 2023 deer season at the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo. Join us Friday, January 20th through Sunday, January 22nd at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln. There are informative hunting seminars, a blind giveaway, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a big buck and monster shed contest, 3D shoot, and a whole lot more that are owned and operated. Get your tickets at NebraskaDeerAndGameExpo.com. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 20th through 22nd at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln. Presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Bagels & Joe is celebrating 30 years of business this year. With 4 Lincoln locations and 1 in Seward, there's more options for your favorite breakfast spot in town. And don't forget the Joe card for unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per person per month. Bagels & Joe, celebrating 30 years of serving Lincoln and the surrounding areas.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You are so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
Hey guys, this is Lindsay Teal from Nebraska Golf Team. Imagine golfing the best courses in the world. St. Andrews, Pebble Beach, Southern Hills, the best of the best. You can play those courses and more without ever leaving the city of Lincoln at Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle has the city's best golf simulators, 5 high-quality bays that track ball speed, launch angle, club speed, spin rate, and more to give you the most accurate gameplay. Check it out for yourself year-round. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Meeting your goal of having a healthy diet has never been easier than with the Venue at Home Healthy Living subscription. Chef-inspired meals that are health conscious and delivered right to your door every week. All you have to do is heat and eat. We offer delicious entrees, gluten-free pastas, fresh rice bowls, soups, salads, and more. Build your own package as a subscription to receive meals every week, designed to help you meet your dietary goals. Order your custom healthy meal package today at venueathome.net.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God!
Ow! Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire.
Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Tip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary, sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Oh, hey, guys. Both those will be open for you the rest of the way here. It's time to head to the phone lines as we have our good friend, our usual Monday guest, Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska, joining us. Steve, what's up, man? How was the weekend?
Hello, gentlemen. The weekend was pretty good, I'd say. Not much going on, just watching a lot of good football, I guess. But yeah, it was a kind of leading up to an entertaining Monday, I guess, for the Husker fan base.
Before we dive into that, how riveting was that Husker basketball game on Friday?
Yeah, you know what? Not very riveting.
It was the best game of the weekend, right?
Going into it, we knew that Jordan Gary wasn't going to be able to go, but then, about 45 minutes or so before tip, when it was revealed that Sam Greasel wasn't going to be out there either with a hip injury, it just kind of is a bummer for the Nebraska basketball team. And they just really struggled to score there against a really good Purdue team. But not very riveting.
If I had a nickel for every time Sam Grease was scratched 15 minutes before tip, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's surprising that it's happened twice.
Yeah, it is. I was thinking that exact same thing, Rico. It's like, we've seen this before. I forget which game it was. I think it was Indiana, if my memory is correct. But yeah, so. He's a guy who's played a lot of basketball and has had some injuries in his system. A real bummer when that happens. But so hopefully that'll be not happening as much in the near future for the Huskers.
We're joined by Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska, the rival site covering the Huskers, and it's been a busy couple of hours here. But I also will say that it was busy last week. You and I were talking about the 2 offensive lineman guys that Nebraska eventually would miss out on. We knew about Micah Mazuka, but then Walter Rouse decides to commit, and then Saturday, less than 72 hours later, he decides to flip it to Oklahoma. I mean, what was your immediate reaction there? And were you surprised?
Initial reaction was it's a massive gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
There's no denying that a guy like Walter Rouse was going to come in and be an immediate day one starter, probably at left tackle. It doesn't really happen that often with college football. These offensive tackles who have a lot of games and reps and experience under their belt, it's not often that you land those guys if you're a program like Nebraska who's trying to win more football games and be relevant. So the fact that they got him first was really impressive, and it was just something that I think a lot of fans and especially the coaches were probably really, really excited about. But when the news came across Saturday that he had decommitted and then committed to Oklahoma, one of the programs in his top 3 along with Iowa, it was just a huge gut punch, and it tells you what recruiting in the transfer portal in 2023 is going to be, and it gives you a lesson of what can happen, because this portal flips are real and they're going to keep happening. So you just always have to have it in the back of your mind that anything can happen. Anything is possible with these guys, especially when it's a left tackle that a lot of good programs want, who has a lot of experience. Those guys are like gold. Everybody wants them. So good on Nebraska for initially getting him. but Oklahoma will have the last laugh here. I'm sure NIL had something to do with it, but these things are going to keep happening, especially when you're trying to recruit out of the portal.
Steve, you got to think that, just last Monday, we were talking about, hey, there's a chance Nebraska, there's a home run chance that if Nebraska goes 2-0 on offensive linemen, or, we thought, I think if you would have asked a lot of people, they were going to go 1-1 with Micah Mazuka ending up being the guy eventually, but then it got flipped. Walter Rouse ended up being the guy, and now Nebraska struck out both times and was 0 for 2. It's no secret that this staff believes they need to add offensive line portal depth. Or even portal starters, I suppose, because I think both of those guys could have come in and competed for the starting job right off the bat. Should we expect Nebraska to just keep on hammering away at the portal for offensive linemen now?
Absolutely. Yes, that is 100% what I think that they're going to do. And I go back to what Matt Rule has said in his introductory press conference and then at his signing day press conference. He's not going to be shy about trying to take as much talent on the offensive line and defensive line, just the line of scrimmage in general. He's not going to be shy about doing that because he understands. Matt Rule has talked a big game about understanding that the line of scrimmage is where football games and lost most of the time. And I know he said right away that Nebraska has in the offensive line room, but that's seriously not going to keep him from looking in the portal and taking big swings on guys that could come into a program and start immediately. And Walter Rouse was one of those, and Micah Mazuka is one of those. But Walter Rouse is going to Oklahoma, and Micah Mazuka is going to Baylor. Nebraska thought they had both of them, and then lost out on both. But it's a good start with Ben Scott. He plays a position of need at center. Could be a right tackle if needed, but he'll probably be a starting center week 0. So they're going to keep hammering it. I don't know. Now the thing with offensive portal linemen, from everything I've read and heard, is the really good ones, they get snatched up pretty early. Nebraska learned that with Micah Mazuka and Walter Rouse. Now there's going to be another wave of transfers coming around the springtime once spring practices get going. Now those guys that enter the portal, are they going to be as good as the ones who entered it after the season or toward the end of the 2022 season? I'm not really sure. I don't believe that they're going to be as many good options available. But it's just going to be another wave of guys that, Nebraska is going to definitely take a look at and, should, considering what's coming back.
Sticking on the offensive side of things and sticking with the portal talk, IGC takes his name out of the portal and was back with Nebraska. And Xavier Betts, who a couple weeks ago we learned put his name into the portal, which was a little confusing, is also back with Nebraska's team. What does that do to the wide receiver room? And how is Garrett McGuire going to handle the emotions of some of those players who might believe that those two quit on the team last season?
Yeah, so that's an interesting dynamic. First of all, with let's just go with IGC. He is, I think he's going to help the wide receiver room because, I know he got a bad rap for maybe how he played when he was at Nebraska first, had some fumble issues and everything that maybe soured some in the fan base. But I ultimately think that he's a guy that helps the wide receiver room. He's still really fast. He still, did some really good things at New Mexico State. And, I think he might have maybe just given up a little bit too early and maybe called it quits. But yeah, that's a real thing. Rico is leaving a team and then coming back. How are his teammates going to respond to that? Same thing with Xavier Betts. These guys are talented guys who can help the room, but it's going to be, I think, just kind of a challenge. I mean, Garrett McGuire for being 23 years old, going to be 24 in February. That's a heck of a job for your first kind of job to step into a room and try to, create a family-like atmosphere with those two guys who left the team and then came back. But they are guys who can ultimately help, I believe. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic and, kind of like the first big challenge of a super young guy in Garrett McGuire, who's, has his first job in college football ever, is coaching Nebraska's wide receivers. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. But, at the end of the day, They have some good additions. The Huskers do, especially Billy Kemp. I really, really like what a healthy Billy Kemp can be able to do on the field. As kind of a slot receiver at 5'9", kind of a shifty guy that reminds me a little bit of Wandale Robinson. So, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Garrett McGuire handles all this.
We're joined by Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. And Steve, before we have to let you go here in a couple minutes, I want to talk about the tight end room a little bit, because Nebraska was targeting a former Georgia tight end, Brett Seether, through the transfer portal, had a late visit to Lincoln, I want to say over the weekend, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
here over the weekend.
Yeah, so he visits Nebraska over the weekend, and then this morning decides to commit and enroll in school at Georgia Tech. So Nebraska misses out on a tight end that had, I want to say, 4 catches in his entire career at Georgia. But obviously there you're backing up some of the best tight ends in Brock Bowers for the Georgia Bulldogs. So when you look at Nebraska's tight end room and what they have, not a whole lot of proven production with Nate Borkature being, I guess your most experienced proven production player, Thomas Fidone coming off of 2 ACLs, and Chris Hickman, who's in that room, has been switching back and forth from wide receiver and tight end and stuff like that. So what's your read right now on the tight end room for Nebraska?
Yeah, so Brett Seether, he's an interesting one. Obviously, everybody knows Georgia, that, they're not lacking for talent at literally any position, and especially at tight end. You mentioned Brock Bowers, but there was also Darnell Washington.
Yes.
Who are 2 NFL caliber tight ends who are both going to be in the league. Then they also had a true freshman that they're really high on, Oscar Delp. And he had, I think, 6 catches in 2022, which is 6 more than Brett Seether had.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Seether was looking for playing time, and, he's winding up and going to Georgia Tech after visiting Nebraska. But, hypothetically, if Brett Seether would have came to Nebraska, I don't think that it really magically makes the Huskers tight end room all that much better. It just adds, in my opinion, another unproven kind of body there. Now, that's not saying I don't want to, say too much bad about Brett Seether, because, he is unproven. But the good thing that I think he would have added is just another veteran guy who has been around and inside a really good program and knows what good football is supposed to look like. He would have been he'll be a 5th-year player in 2022, and 4 catches to his name in 4 seasons at Georgia. But he kind of reminded me, just going back and watching a little bit of film of him, he reminded me of Thomas Fidone, who's kind of like, we haven't seen much of him, but on paper he looks like a really good receiving option at tight end, a guy who you can put in the slot and maybe match up on some safeties or some bigger, slower linebackers, and he'll run away from them. So that's what I think Brett Seether is going to do pretty well at Georgia Tech, now that he'll have some more opportunities to catch the ball. But what I'm wondering about is the blocking. Tight end, Matt Rule, I mentioned, he obviously wants to control the line of scrimmage, and to do that, the offensive line is obviously really important, but the tight ends are involved with that too. And what I'm wondering with Nebraska's tight end room is, do they have a body in there who can line up on 3rd and short in November when it's cold, and, block a Big Ten defensive lineman really well, and, pick up a 3rd and 2 or a 3rd and 3. Right now, I'm not really sure that Nebraska really has one of those bodies in there. I love what Thomas Fidone brings as a receiving tight end. Like I mentioned, flexed out, there's a really, really, fun things that we could do with that. But is he going to be able to block? Is he going to be, coming off 2 back-to-back serious knee injuries? Is he the blocker that everybody kind of wants to have as a tight end? I don't know. There's a lot left up to the imagination with Thomas Fidone. He just needs to get out on the field and prove it, and I know he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you look at others in the room, James Carney, A.J. Rollins, Chris Hickman, you mentioned, has had the position issues along with injury issues. There's just not a lot of bodies, I think, that can line up and, be that nasty blocker that I think Travis Fidone was, and especially Chancellor Brewington when he went in motion a lot. So, there's just a lot to be left desired with Nebraska's tight end room, and a lot of expectations are with Thomas Fidone, and I'm just excited to see him out there and stay healthy and see what he can do.
Steve, last one before we let you go here really quickly. You wrote an article about an hour ago on your thoughts on Georgia's offense outside linebacker MJ Sherman, who decided to pick the Huskers. This feels like a story that really moved relatively quickly. I mean, he enters the portal a couple days ago, and then if I remember correctly, and now he commits to the Huskers on Monday. And there's a lot of SEC flavor from the transfer portal. I mean, what are your quick thoughts on MJ Sherman and how the Huskers may use him in Tony White's defense?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first kind of thought with MJ Sherman is, Tony White is really starting to build depth at that hybrid outside linebacker defensive end position, and in his 3-3-5 guys that they can line up on the edge in kind of a 2-point stance on the line of scrimmage, and maybe set an edge in the run game, or maybe rush the passer, their hand in the dirt, and do the same thing. I kind of like this addition a lot because he's not very experienced on defense himself, and he spent three seasons at Georgia, but most of it was as a backup, and most of his time on the field came on kickoff coverage unit as the L1 defender. So when you look at him, you look at another guy that's playing the same position as Jamari Butler, Blaise Gunnerson, another transfer from the SEC, and Chief Borders, the former Florida Gator. All these guys, especially Kai Wallen too. Don't forget about him. He's a really interesting junior college pickup at 6'5", 235, 240 pounds. So these guys, these bigger bodies who are athletic enough to kind of do multiple things on the edge of Tony White's 3-5 defense. I think it's a really fun position to read about and kind of learn about. But when you look at him and you look at everybody in that room, I'm looking at Chief Borders, I'm looking at MJ Sherman and Jamari Butler, Blaise Gunnerson as guys who are going to get opportunities to make plays and be a really important position in Tony White's new scheme here that he learned at San Diego State. So, my biggest thing with MJ Sherman was just the kind of hybrid outside linebacker defensive end position. You just got another one because that's a position that needs to keep loading up because, with the loss of Caleb Tanner, Garrett Nelson, we need more bodies and more production out of that position for sure.
Yes, MJ Sherman played in 39 career games, including all 15 for the Bulldogs the past 2 seasons. And as Steve says in his article, recorded 15 tackles, 1 TFL, and a half of a sack as well. Steve, appreciate the time as always. Good stuff. Take a little bit of a rest here because it's been a busy couple of hours and a couple of weeks. So take a rest, and we'll see you Wednesday at the Husker Hoops game.
Yeah, I'll try to take a rest. We'll see how that goes. But thanks for having me on, guys.
That is Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. Appreciate his time. As always, let's take a break. When we come back, it is time for the crossover with Strick and Austin.
There you go.
Sorry, got a lot of.
I'm back to Nebraska and you forget his name.
Well, no, it's. I'm used to saying the spillover with AD and Raph. It's the crossover with Strick.
Which
and
one have
Austin.
you been saying longer?
It's definitely the crossover, but that makes me
whatever. This is what happens when you bail on your own show.
Rico,
right?
I have to think about it more when I'm doing the spillover. When I say the spillover, because I'm used to saying the crossover. Just a lot of flip flop.
We're going to
flip flop. So, all right. Also, Sean Payton talked on the Colin Cowherd show today, and he's spoken to the Saints GM. The pick that the Saints are demanding, a mid to late first rounder to interview and eventually sign Sean Payton.
Do you have to trade the pick just to interview him?
No.
Okay. Because that would suck.
Think about the Saints. Hey, Chargers, you need to interview him?
Look at this. This guy.
Yeah. All right. He's ready to come in and light this place on fire. So coming up next, we got Strick and Austin for the crossover.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch. You are more next.com.
All fans, 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Doren. God bless you.
Every child has the ability to be successful and thrive in life, but sometimes they need your help. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lincoln exists to help children unlock their potential by making meaningful matches between adult volunteers and young people. Right now, there are children just waiting for a mentor to step up and make an impact in their lives. Learn more online at bbbslincoln.org. There are children and kids right now in Lincoln waiting to get started. Volunteer today and start something big.
This is home for Sports Talk FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Bagels and Joe is celebrating 30 years of business this year. With 4 Lincoln locations and 1 Seward, there's more options for your favorite breakfast spot in town. And don't forget the Joe card for unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per person per month. Bagels and Joe, celebrating 30 years of Lincoln and the surrounding areas.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-66606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is under new management, but has the same great service as before. If your current garage door seems outdated or isn't working properly, call their new number at 402-480-2840 to schedule service or get a new door ordered. Steve's can repair most types of garage doors and can always point you in the right direction to get the job done. Give Steve's Garage Doors and Services a call to 480-2840. That's 402-480-2840.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, wanting to say Happy New Year and thank you to all of you for your continued support. We have just closed out another outstanding year, and we want to start 2023 off with a bang. The new GMC and Chevrolet inventory continues to roll in, and I'll actually be picking up my 2023 GMC later this month. So with interest rates continuing to climb, Cobble is partnering with General Motors and now offering 2.9% APR on select models. So we invite you to the dealership. Check us out online at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clear. 97 at TFM.com.
Whoa. You're on the. Try
Watch
to get
yourself.
there. It is.
Shut your mouth.
You want to plug those in? You guys are fighting over headphones over there, Austin and Stricky.
They were unplugged.
Oh, okay.
You disgust me.
We're back on the happy hour. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, Starter Heyman text line. Both those open for you guys the rest of the way. Guys, hello.
Hello.
Howdy.
How we doing?
is it? Man, everything is good.
We back in action.
Yeah.
Back in Nebraska. You came back just
who are you
you
talking
came
about?
back
I've
just
always
you
been
came
here.
back just in time because we're supposed to get 10 to 14 inches on Wednesday.
How was of
geez,
snow?
are you serious?
Yeah.
Nice seeing you.
You've used all your stream hours
So,
as well,
yeah,
so we
you
got
gotta
you
come in.
gotta come into work. You've used all your
Good
stream
luck,
hours,
brother.
inches?
10 to 14.
Oh my.
and this was after a 50-degree weekend. This weekend,
You got a big car, right?
Starting when? That evening?
Tuesday night, I believe.
Yep, Tuesday into Wednesday.
My goodness.
Yowzers!
I was thinking about going to the game. I might have to rethink
On Wednesday?
that. Yeah.
Come on out.
With 15 inches out there?
Yeah, you want to stay at my place?
We just carpool or something.
You stay at my place after.
That's crazy.
Look at Rico just giving his space.
So
Do you have to double check? Do you have to double check with Rachel?
No, she'd welcome Stricken.
Oh, that's good.
Rachel's my people.
Yeah. All right, guys, Huskers are on fire right now a little bit. Recruiting wise. Now they lost out on Walter Rouse. Even if you want to backtrack a little farther, they lost out on Micah Mazuka, ended up going to Florida, lost Walter Rouse, probably due to things out of their control. I think like
most likely.
I mean, understandably,
Most
like yes, Nebraska. If it was a discussion of NIL, Nebraska could have upped it, but if Nebraska wasn't given an opportunity or given the knowledge that they were going to need to up it, it's one thing. And then here they are. They reel in Isaiah Garcia Castaneda back from the portal. They get Xavier Betts. All signs are pointing to Xavier Betts returning. And they get a Georgia outside linebacker who will fit in nicely into that hybrid spot for Tony White and MJ Sherman.
He's coming in, right?
Yeah.
For a visit. Yeah.
No, he committed.
Oh, he did end up
committed.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. I think the linebacker position, they want to get faster. Obviously, I think Reimer can compete speed. But they want to get faster, and that's why it was a detrimental loss by losing Hausman, because he was that type of guy, right?
Yeah.
But I think that could be a good fit, in the locker room,
yeah,
the linebacker core, and so that's going to be interesting. It's like I say, I love what they're selling. What selling is winning, but whatever reason, other things and other elements are kind of creeping in at the end of the day, and sometimes they're pushing people out. But Austin and I will probably talk about it a little bit and dig in and delve into it a little bit more.
Yeah, so let's really quickly here. We got about 3 minutes, or about 2 minutes. Really quickly, NFL this weekend.
Great
weekend of NFL.
Super wild card weekend.
Great weekend of NFL football.
Literally.
That a lot of questionable decisions by some coaches.
Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley again.
Brandon Staley. I think you can throw in. I mean, this is
Which
a coach,
part of the coaching?
Kirk Cousins.
Oh gosh, we already knew that.
Yeah,
J.K. Dobbins would question Harbaugh.
And John Harbaugh. I mean, you're huddling up with less than 2 minutes to go in the game, 2 timeouts, and you have Tyler Huntley and
As
the
your
quarterback,
guy, right?
And then you huddle up only to bring in Justice Hill at running back, run an outside run with him, and he gets 3 yards or maybe even just back to the line of scrimmage.
Totally worth it.
When J.K. Dobbins was your leading rusher and your second guy on the night was Gus Edwards. You bring in Justice Hill.
Yeah.
And then you just have a shot to chuck it up. And honestly, there was a play on that ball. There was a play on that Hail Mary ball.
Had a chance.
That man had a chance to
Jordan Westerkamp would have caught it.
Jordan Westerkamp would have caught it.
I tweeted that out,
the fact
and he
that
liked
they're
it.
in the game. I mean, just look at that. Miami is tremendous in itself. And then I didn't think Baltimore had a chance without Lamar Jackson.
But they needed that game to be gross, and they needed to have it be just a run dominated type of game. And J.K. Dobbins, they got him back. He sat out week 18. They got him back, and he had over 60 yards or whatever, 19 for 62, I think it was the final tally. But I mean, it was
Burrow has now been sacked the most out of any quarterback making their first 2 playoff appearances.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
We knew that because we knew that line sucked, right? We knew that line was terrible.
It was very questionable. You thought maybe they'd do something. The offense was a little sputtery due to those sacks. But look, the Ravens mucked it up, and Harbaugh forgot he had timeouts.
And then you also had Kirk Cousins throwing a 3-yard dump off.
Okay, so if you look at there's a stat thing that shows where all the routes and everything. Everyone was covered. That was his only throw.
No, I understand that because Hawkinson was covered as well. You have a top 3 receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson out there.
Yeah.
Why are you not at least throwing it into? I'm taking Justin.
Double cover. But what if he breaks the tackle?
But
Minnesota Miracle or Minneapolis Miracle, whatever it is.
Make the referees make a decision.
Bingo. Don't just dump it off into a 3-yard route.
Yeah.
All right,
my sleeper pick is gone.
That'll do it for Rico and myself. We'll be back tomorrow. Stick around on the block with Strick and Austin coming up next on the ticket.
With snow.
Adios.
The year has been